everyone. 1 minute is a really short time. My name is Ronda Kennedy. There's one thing that I'm going to say to everyone here and everyone in the state of Nevada. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I've already done. I'm the attorney that filed the federal lawsuit during the lockdowns that closed the gun stores, that forced the gun stores back open, won twice in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I'm the only attorney in the country that successfully defended businesses when they were closed during COVID, and the county went after them and wanted them to pay $600,000 to $1 million in fines and take their health permits. Guess what? No fines, no penalties, they kept their health permit. I have one of the only surviving 2020 election fraud cases that won in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and just went back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I just filed a federal lawsuit against Facebook, Meta, and I'll tell you more about that. But I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I've already done. And I'm an open book and you can ask me anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we're going to the question portion of the debate. Here's the first question brought to you by Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada. It is no secret that our national debt, inflation, and supply issues are harming the U.S. economy. Spending on defense, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other income security programs like the child tax credits, unemployment compensation, and a host of others are a majority of all U.S. expenses. What is your plan to effectively stop the deficit spending? And I do apologize, but we can only allow about a 1 minute initial take on this, and then we're going into a discussion. So hopefully you can press that out a little bit.
Well, I won't be very popular in the Senate, but the first thing I would do is I would introduce to cut the pay and the salary of Congress and the Senate, because they're way overpaid, and maybe we won't have too many career politicians. But number one, America is not a welfare country. The rest of the world looks at America to bail them out. I would first look at how much aid do we send to certain countries. If they're not on board, like President Trump did this, he was brilliant. When it came to deporting people who were here illegally and their countries didn't want to take them back, he picked up the phone and found out how much money do we send this country each year. He says, that much money? Well, cut it off. And guess what happened? They took their citizens back. So that's the first thing I would do, is stop having America be a welfare country and cut the foreign aid off.
Now as we go into our 3-minute discussion period on this singular topic, we're going to start from the other side of the stage right now. I want to lead this discussion off by asking Ronda a question to just spark the debate. You can have a chance to go ahead and be first to do that. But Ronda, what would uniquely position you over opponents either on this stage or maybe the ones that are not on the stage to give you a leg up with regard to this type of question, this type of activity?
Well, first of all, I'm a litigator. I understand the law. A legislator makes the law. And I understand the powers of each branch of government. And time and time again, I've heard people running for office, and they don't understand their limitations on their office. There's an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. And I uniquely understand that. I'm a constitutionalist, and so that's my governing role. That's my beacon of light. That's what I follow. If it's not in the Constitution, I don't care about my personal feelings or anyone else's personal feelings. I'm going to protect the Constitution, and therefore protecting every single American that's not just in Nevada, but across this country. And the first thing that I'm uniquely able to do is I can look outside of the box and look at different ways of how to attack things legally. Like, that's how I opened the gun stores. That's how I defended businesses during COVID. That's how I'm suing Facebook. And the first thing I would do is talk to my colleagues in Congress and call for impeachment hearings on these judges who are abusing their power. Because I understand the Constitution. I know that the only way you can get rid of a federal judge is to impeach them. And the power is in Congress and in the Senate to convict them. So I would uniquely use my legal knowledge and my love of the Constitution to be able to attack all of these traitors, these treasonous traitors that are in the Senate. And I'm not just talking about one side of the aisle. We have vipers in the other side of the aisle too, and our side of the aisle, and we need to clean house.
This was a budget.
First, I'd like to say that everyone has something negative to say about attorneys until they meet one. Because Donald Trump's not sitting in the courtroom with other people, he's sitting there with his attorneys. So, number one, I hear a lot of these ideas, but in my head, I'm like confused because constitutionally, they don't work. Because like I said, there's different limitations on your office. You can't fire, that's an executive branch, the head of the Homeland Security, that was appointed by the president. You have to impeach them. If you want to start impeachment processes, then you do that. The other thing is, I hear the problems, but I don't hear solutions. You're not going to be legislating by yourself. We have 100 U.S. senators, we have 435 members of Congress. You have to work around that. So what I would do is actually read the laws, the existing laws, and the bills to find a loophole how to use it against them to get what I needed.
Would you impeach him?
Absolutely.
We're going to read up some of the quick follow-up question to spark a little more discussion. I'll start with Stephanie Phillips on this one. In light of some of the events worldwide, whether it's Ukraine and now, of course, in Israel, there's some comparisons made, that we should probably be bolstering our own defenses here locally. How do you reconcile that in light of the international scene while also having enough resources at home to take care of our homeland as priority number one?
This is kind of a short answer, but yes, we need to go back. We need to roll back to the Trump administration and go back to being energy independent. We need to open up the pipeline again, absolutely. But I would, as a U.S. Senator, support the Republican President, Donald Trump, in doing those things because that would have to be the President that would do that. But I would support the President, Donald Trump, in us becoming energy independent again. And also, take my remaining time to go back to the border. I would stop giving aid to the countries who have the largest number of immigrants in this country and send them back.
I'm going to let Tony Grady kind of initiate the discussion portion of this, and we'll hopefully let most of the panelists. Ms. Phillips after.
Well, the one thing I won't do is do more corporate welfare by giving money to the oil companies because they have to go drill. Because I think we bailed them out enough times, and we're still paying for the Exxon spill as well. They still owe the U.S. taxpayers money. So I would start by giving money to the oil companies. Secondly, we do have to look at more independent ways of getting fuel, of energy, and more clean energy. I hate to say it, I'm not a tree hugger, but we do have to leave this planet to our children. So I think we do need to start looking to the future for cleaner energy, but we also have to look at the here and now, which the here and now is oil. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Stephanie?
I just want to say, because so the green energy, which produces an awful lot of toxic things, the lithium batteries. They don't know what they're going to do with all these solar panels that expire much sooner. We're going to be sitting on a bunch of garbage. What are your plans to protect our country, and what will you be doing to stop voting for things that cause harm to our country while acting like green is fabulous?
Well, here's an idea. How about we add, if you want to do the Green New Deal, you want to have all of this solar panels and that, then we add a caveat in there that China has to take them back. We ship them back to where they came from, and they can figure out how to dispose of them. I just would like to state the obvious. Do the Democrats really think that the new Green Deal is actually going to go forward? That was just a distraction for us. That's why it's so far ahead in the future, because they know this isn't going to work. So I don't believe the Green Deal is ever going to happen in the first place. I think they just did that so that we can be sitting here talking about that and not talking about the real problems that's going on in America now.
This part of the discussion is going to be very kind of diving deeper into that. We'll start with you. We'll keep this to 35 seconds per panelist so we can get to each of the 5 on our own.
I'm still trying to figure out why we're talking about the Green New Deal. It's never going to happen. I'd rather get back to talking about the real problems that's going on in America, because the Democrats like to distract us with this stuff while they're passing legislation that's actually chipping away and destroying our Constitution. I mean, and we, like George Soros sending money over to terrorist organizations, Hamas, we should be talking about that and putting him and listing him as a terrorist, George Soros, but we're not.
No, unfortunately, we got to move on to the next topic now. Sorry about that. Our next question from the audience, Ralph Wade. Ralph?
Yes. I agree with everything on the panel. I agree with everything on the panel. But first off is, for me, all this is just junk. We need to be working on veterans dying, getting medication overstocked, not paid, and then you want to talk about some other country. We already know we're not supposed to be sending no money anywhere except for fixing America. So for me, regardless you Democrat or Republican, you need to start working on how to get rid of these clowns in office. For me, I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. You work together. You sleep together. You have parties together. I'm saying get rid of them. Cut their pay. People getting paid, been on the books for the last 20 years, they get all this money. Cut it off. When your 20 years is up, they either cut it off or you die and you don't get nothing. So let's stop playing and be real. Look at all these people in here. Some of them got homes they can't even afford because the interest rate is so high. You're not talking about that. Talk about how to do it. Don't tell me what you did and all this other stuff. We want to see you do something here in Nevada. In Pahrump, to be exact. The gun laws are fine. But the difference of it is we just tired. Do something. Stop talking and do something. When you get in the office, do something. If you're going back and you're in the office, do something so we can hear about it. We don't want to hear about Russia. We don't want to hear about Israel. We want to hear about the doctors killing us with all this medication and all this environmental stuff that we're not even supposed to eat. And you talking about some other country, we know darn well these deals is not going to go through. We're not dumb and we definitely not stupid. We're here because we want to see something different, something new. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Ralph.
Finally, a topic that touches home that we can actually talk about, because that's what I want to get to. I want to get to these everyday issues that affect everyday Americans. My family has been served in the military since the Civil War. My dad is a Vietnam vet. And when I see veterans sleeping on the streets and homeless, and not getting the care that they need, and we're sending and we're giving money to people that come in this country illegally, that doesn't stand right with me. One of the things is that most of the people that are on the Veterans Affairs Committee in Washington are Democrats. And I know it's not, don't care about Democrats or Republicans, but they've been the ones that have been leading the Veterans Affairs Committee. And they haven't done anything. I know insurance companies, and let's just say the Veterans Affairs is like an insurance company. You put your claim in, and they immediately deny it.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I know my colleague here may not like to hear this, but they all know what the problem is. Congress knows, the Senate knows, they just don't, they choose not to fix it. We're sitting here talking about what the problem is. They know that. And I've helped veterans get their benefits as a lawyer because it took the legal system for them to be able, for them to force them to do it, because they had to be threatened to be sued before they actually gave them their benefits. So maybe veterans should just get together and do a class action and force the government to do what they're supposed to do.
I'd just like to ask all the candidates up here, you seem like fine folks, but how many people have we already sent that go back there and all of a sudden they become the go along to get along? What makes you stand out from all those other ones that are back there that aren't doing their job? Why would I want to give you my vote?
We'll start with Stephanie on that one.
I'm just a little taken aback. But I have been in the trenches, fighting on the front lines for this country. I have been persecuted. I have been ridiculed. I have Facebook pages and websites that have been created just for anti-Ronda. Because when you have enemies like that, then you know you're doing something right. I am not bought and paid for. And if anyone knows me, and you can ask anyone who knows me, that I'm no one's puppet. No one can tell me what to do. My vote in the Senate will belong to the people, not the party. If it's against the Constitution, if it's against the will of the people, you don't get my vote. I will say no, and I will stand up to Washington. I have a lot of friends in Washington, trust me. When you get there, it's hard to stand up, but I don't have a problem.
Right, open up a little bit of discussion, again, a little bit of follow-up here. We're going to start the 35-second follow-ups, starting with Tony, and then working to end with Stephanie.
Still just a little rattled because of how much I've sacrificed. I mean, death threats. I've had my co-counsel, Mark Angelucci, was murdered because I was exposing the pipeline of human trafficking of children through the CPS system. Anyway, the people who are in my circle are the real freedom fighters, like Jim Jordan, Byron Donaldson, Roger Stone. Those are the people that are in my circle. Those are the people that I can pick up my phone and call. That's exactly where I would be, and those are the people that I would be with to make sure that we continue to fight and protect America.
Thank you, Robert. That last segment started with Tony. On the 35, yeah, it started with Tony. Okay, so I want to thank the audience for those questions and contributing to our discussion. In a little bit, we're going to break, but before we do that, I just want to have just one quick round of applause. Rhonda, you're going to end up going first on your closing.
But, however, I'm going to ask this of all fairness, because I've been attacked 3 times by Ms. Phillips. I believe that I need to have an additional time to rebut the personal attacks that I just had from Ms. Phillips. I know you don't have to say any names. I moved back to Nevada in 2022. I'm the only one who moved back here last year.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I moved to Nevada in 2000. From 2000 to 2010, I left Wisconsin because I fled my abusive ex-husband. I came here, made a life for myself, and I left and went to California for work and practiced law there. When I left, I was heavily involved in the Republican Party. When I left, this state was red. When I came back, this state had Sisolak as a governor. My motivation has always been the Constitution and protecting the people. I had two choices. I could have come here or I could have gone to Florida. I was actually asked by Roger Stone to go to Florida. I didn't. I came back to Nevada, back where I started, back where my life was, back where my kids graduated from high school. I have 6 kids, including 10-year-old triplets who are here now being raised. So my motivation is to do what I did in the trenches of California, to do that here, because everybody benefited from my cases. 9th Circuit.
Thank you, Rhonda.
And I know people are going to say I'm an angry woman, but I'm very passionate. And maybe we should start looking at the Constitution to see what the qualifications are to be a U.S. Senator. Last time I checked, it wasn't that you needed to own a home in the state. You didn't even have to live there, but I live there. So I go by the Constitution, not other people's personal feelings.
Rhonda, we're gonna go into closing statements now, and you are actually up next on that, or first on that. So we're doing 1-minute closing statements for the candidates before we break for an intermission here, and then it's part of the minutes. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Thank you. I want to say this to everybody here and people that are in the state that will be voting. Ask yourself, do you want a candidate who understands and knows the Constitution? Do you want a candidate who can actually do something and know the limitations of your office and actually already have relationships in DC, including our will-be President Trump, who endorsed me in 2020? Or do you want a candidate who's going to say, this is what I'm going to do? I do have a proven track record. And I get passionate about this because I know the sacrifice that I have made, that my family has made. Everybody says they have a day job. I have a day job as well. I love my day job. That's fighting for constitutional rights in court. I sued Facebook, I sued the government, and I'm also going to be filing on behalf, I'm suing the government for Donald Trump for the gag order as a private citizen.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Tony.